All right, first off, we'll start off with the 3S 5S build that we're doing. That is a NA combination. That is this motor right here. 5S 98 plus style block, already bored, honed, and square decked. We have a set of Eagle rods because it's going to be a NA setup. Piston, Trom piston, 12-to-1, lightweight wrist pin. We even had, we did some extra machine work inside of the piston to make it even more lightweight. This is a great setup. Eagle makes a really good rod for this combination. Even, man, we've pushed these things up to 800 horsepower and they've lived. So this is the lightest steel rod you could probably get for this combination. And they honestly work great, just as long as you keep them within standards. You know, there's a lot of people that talk bad about Eagle rods. I've never had an issue with them as long as you know the capability of the rod and don't push it past that. So crank is already in. I'll get you a video from the other side. All right, so here you can see the crank is in. I'm actually using factory main bolts. There is no reason to put an ARP main stud in this thing. We're hoping it can make all motor possibly 250 horse, maybe more, I don't know, but you know, a realistic number probably about 250. So the factory bolt is more than enough. We don't have to worry about if we put an ARP stud any kind of line bore or line hone distortion. That should all be fine, even though with the 5S block, even my machinist says it all the time, he can't believe how strong these engines really are, and that they don't really move. So like when we put the line, when we put the torque plate on them, there really isn't any serious deflection as compared to with the torque plate off and you hone them. So they're just really good blocks, very strong, a lot of support, a lot of webbing inside the blocks that make them just great blocks. Even outside of the block, look at this thing, these things are just strong. The only weak link that the S-Series motors has that everybody knows is they tend to break in this area, which is why you use the newer style blocks that have more material. But imagine if this was totally reinforced here, if they didn't put the water pump here, it would be an amazing motor and really wouldn't crack up here. But this has a brand new 3S GTE or 3S style crankshaft. All the clearances have been set already with the mains. I mean, this thing spins phenomenal. I could just take it and spin it and it actually keeps going, which is great. Even standing up, you could see the crank still wants to just keep going, you know. So got all the clearances right. Even with all the pressure sitting on the thrust washer, it still spins awesome. So great motor. Can't wait to see this thing. I'm gonna check rod clearances next and keep going on with this. So next up is a 3S beams setup that we did. So this is an Altezza motor. Customer supplied the crank, block, everything. We did all the machine work to it. This one does have ARP main studs. It's set up to make probably about 650, I think is what he's really going for. This is not a brand new crankshaft. This is actually the original crankshaft out of this block, but it was in great shape, so we're just going to stick with this crankshaft. He doesn't need a brand new crankshaft. So this combination is going to use the Altezza oil pump, which is a very, very good oil pump. Crank timing sensor goes right here. This one has Carrillo rods, HD rods with their car bolt, which is their upgraded bolt. Super strong rod. This, man, we've pushed these rods upwards of 1,000, 1,100 horsepower without any issues. Great connecting rod. It's got a CP piston in it. And again, he's probably shooting for about 600, 650, like I said. So I don't have the head here. The head is off at the machine shop right now getting done. We did a light port on that. He's going with some Kelford cams, but I'm looking forward. This should be a nice build. So I'm gonna keep dressing up the engine. I'm waiting for the rear seal housing to come in. I need that housing. I don't have any here. The Altezza has its own style housing, and so he's sending that up to me. Once I get that, I can finalize oil pan and stuff like that to get this thing complete. By the time I dress it up, I should have the head back where we can finish assembling the motor. So I will keep logging this. I will get you guys more info once I get get it all dressed up and get the cylinder head on it. I'll get you guys some video of the cylinder head as well once we get it back and we start to do the assembly of the cylinder head. So we got all the Kelford cams here. That's what's gonna go in it. It's using so we got head studs here, Kelford spring and retainer. It's going to use a shim under setup, so the shim will go inside of the retainer, so we could lash it and get the valve adjustment that we need from there, and we will get that set up. So I'll get you guys all kinds of video of that once we start to put it together. This is that 7A motor you guys have seen. I got the oil pump. I got the oil pan on it, oil pump, but it's empty. It's going to be a dry sump setup, as you can see with the fittings that are welded on to the oil pan here. So we're starting to dress this thing up. I will flip it around soon to get it all dressed up with oil pump and front pulley and everything else that goes in it. So stay tuned for this as well. I'll get you guys some more footage on this as well. Moving over to the 3TC blocks. This is one that we're getting together for a customer in Hawaii. It's gonna have our crank pulley on there that we make. We make these in billet. Nice piece. They can still bolt on. These bolt areas here for if they wanted to run the factory air conditioning. A lot of guys run a crank trigger also with these bolt holes. So this motor is together, actually spins very good as well. And next we will check rod clearance. Also, this is the piston and rod assembly it's going to have. It's a 86 millimeter bore with another set of Eagle rods for the 3TC. It's got a pretty decent wrist pin in there. So we will check the clearance on that as far as rod bearing goes. So it's got a King rod bearing. It's got a King main bearing, and this motor we actually, I don't know if you saw our last bread video, I'll put a link up here in the corner for that. That thing was actually kind of cool. It had a jam pilot bearing in it, so I'll show you guys this real quick. So if you look at our bread video, you'll see I had to get this pilot bearing out of there, and this particular motor we drilled and tapped the back of the crank. This was the factory flywheel bolt that used to be in it, and as you can see it goes right in now. And we went to a 7/16 ARP flywheel bolt now to keep it more secure. And I don't know, I like this setup better than the dowel pinning. This crank here is actually dowel pinned. So this is what a dowel pin 3TC crank looks like, and this one had the factory bolts. Usually when I dowel pin them, I don't go up to the bigger bolt. This is actually for me. I'm not sure, but I think I might drill and tap it and go to the bigger bolt anyways. This is for our car, and I'm not in a huge hurry for this right now. It's got our billet mains, but I just kind of put this on the back burner for now because we have so much other stuff going on. And here we got a selection of bearings that we try and keep in stock. For a long time you couldn't get the ACL bearings. They were really hard to get, and the standard ones were available, so the H bearing was easier to get. These are the HX, so I try and keep all of them. Now when I find them, I basically just buy them, and so I have them all here. These are main bearings, and these are some other H bearings as well for the main journals. And then here I have rod bearings. These are all H, and then over here I have HX bearings. So again, I got some King bearings as well. These are all 3TC bearings, 3TC bronze guide. So I try and keep all this in stock, like I said, because I'm scared they're just gonna go away. We got some assembly lube, different companies that we use. We basically tried them all to see which one we like the best. And so yeah, these are all the bearings we got in stock for all the 3S engines, 3TC motors, and even the 2RZ. This 2RZ engine here, we had a real hard time finding bearings for that. I had to get them from Australia. So that's just all the bearings we have in stock as well. We got pilot bearings, stuff like that. So stay tuned, guys. I will give you guys more updates on the 3S stuff we have going on here, along with the 3TC, and just keep you guys in the loop with the engine builds that are going on. So stay tuned. Talk to you later.